So the fact that AWS, we were able to announce GDPR compliance in March, April of 2018 ahead of the May deadline, that gives customers that build on top of AWS a head start and that confidence that they're on that platform.
And the system that, or the model that AWS put together in terms of shared responsibility, it's a great way of explaining to customers the tiering of different responsibilities that come around GDPR, from the platform level and the infrastructure level into the solutions level into the data acquisition level that sits on top of it. So it's a great model for them to segment and understand where the boundaries are between different people holding and managing that data.
So AWS plus Alfresco, what does that help customers with in terms of GDPR?
Two main areas. One is it gives them a mechanism for consistently analyzing which of the data has personal information in it, especially with the new AI capabilities and recognition and some of the other tooling that is available. It gives our platform the capability to filter and monitor the traffic of information that comes in and out of the system. It also allows us to have a stable base for maintaining the security and the ownership of the data, whether that physically is managed by a customer or is shared with a third party. Most of our customers tend to have an ecosystem of third-party suppliers, providers, service providers that they share data with. What AWS allows us to move much faster in onboarding new suppliers, onboarding new partners, agreeing the mechanisms by which they're going to share data with each other. So it accelerates a lot of that journey for them. And at the end of the day, it also reduces costs, which is not a negligible driver for them to actually do something the right way, rather than just sweeping it under the carpet and pretending that it just isn't there.
Very cool. I know there's a lot of customers that I've talked to in the public sector that are very interested in what you've just described. I think the demand will be very high, and I hope you help a lot of AWS customers get to where they need to be with GDPR.
I hope so. It's one of the primary reasons why we invest so much into the relationship at the moment and the partnership with AWS. We see it as a win-win for both of us in terms of engaging probably the more reticent of our customers to move to the cloud. It gives them just another little push, another little incentive to take them just over the fence and make that commitment. And then you look at things like migrations, you look at how quickly you can move data into a different environment, to what extent you need a hybrid on-premises versus cloud environment, which allows us to manage that. But I think if you look at it not so much from the data perspective, but the operational perspective, when we move to managing processes and managing operations, the ability to spin up and scale as a response to an event is something that we wouldn't be able to do before without a cloud provisioned environment. We can't do the containerization and the serverless capabilities that we have now, we wouldn't be able to do before. GDPR is unpredictable. Right? The management of it, you have no way of predicting who is going to ask you for what data, how often that's going to happen. But being able to manage services internally as one of our own customers, how do you provision process management capabilities in a way that you can scale up and scale down based on the responses? How do you suddenly mobilize a whole organization to do a 72-hour response to a breach, for example? Being able to have that capability in a scalable environment that can shrink and expand as necessary is very different, architecturally a very different proposition of where we were before.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your point of view with us, George. I really appreciate it.
Very welcome.
And thank you for joining us for another In Conversation, this time with Alfresco.